Hello, Sonder fam. Welcome. My name is Bailey, and I will be your facilitator this evening. We are going to be digging into our Tranquility Journal prompts in our August journals on page 14 and 19 tonight. So make sure you have your journal handy. If you joined like mid-month or something and like your August journal hasn't come yet, that's okay. We'll have the prompts up on the screen for you. Or if you're like waiting and you're going to get like your journal in the next month and you just happen to be here with us, again, that's totally fine. Um, we had like a double dose of Sonder Club this evening because I just did like a weekly setup with Karen about 30 minutes ago. And now I am here hosting this social, and the fabulous Maya is helping out in the chat for me tonight. So if you have questions or anything, Maya and I will both do our best to help where we can. She's definitely going to be a little bit more active in the chat as I'm going to be sharing on screen. But if you need help with something, let us know and we will do what we can to help. As we go through tonight, feel free to take screenshots, make notes. We'll share a link at the end of where you can get this recording as well. So don't feel stressed like you have to get absolutely everything. But as you go through, definitely share on Instagram, TikTok, tag us at Silk and Sonder. And of course, we always love it when you post in the Sonder Club app so we can see what you're doing there. So we are going to get started here in a second. As usual, here's our community guidelines to get us started. So tonight, be courteous and kind to yourself and others. And while you're sharing in the chat tonight, that is how you will communicate. So be sure if you want to share with the group that you have changed that little blue drop down box from host and panelists to everyone. That way everyone in the group can see what you're saying. If it's host and panelist, only myself and Maya will see it. And we love to see what you have to share, but I'm sure you would like to share with everyone. So be sure you update that. No promotions or spam in the chat, please. Be sure to respect everyone's privacy here. Sonder socials are a place where we encourage sharing and vulnerability, and sometimes things can get deep. So we want to be respectful of everyone's here. And of course, no hate speech or bullying along with that. Try to limit repetitive product and accessory questions or recommendations. Sonder Club is a great place to post those. Redirect any customer care inquiries to our team at hello@silkandsonder.com. Maya and I do not work for HQ and customer care capacity. So if you are still waiting for your journal, I am not able to look at a tracking number for you. If you have an issue with your subscription, I can't do that either. But the team there will be happy to help. So if we redirect you there, that is why. And finally, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. And this is always participate at your comfort. So if you want to hang out and just kind of listen to the music and do the prompts and not engage with the chat, that's okay. If you only want to hang out and participate in the chat, maybe you already did the journal prompts and you just want to hang with the community and share a little bit, that's okay too. Whatever you need tonight is good with us as long as you're following these other guidelines. So we are going to do an opening activity, which is our Tranquility Pond activity, and that is not in the journal. So you'll need a blank space or page or a spare piece of paper to do that one. And then we'll dive into the Tranquility Journal prompts on page, and then the My Favorites on page 19. So as you all know now, or I hope so anyway, because we are 12 days into August, our theme this month is tranquility. And for tranquility is one of these things that's going to look different for everybody, right? Like what brings me sort of like peace and centers and grounds me may look a lot different than what brings you peace and centers and grounds you. And that is okay. We are always about figuring out what works best for you here at Silk and Sonder. So for me, tranquility has really meant like trying my best to sort of be present in moments where I do have time to rest, where I do have time to pause and kind of use my five senses to kind of ground into the moment and really engage with what is in front of me. If you've been in any of the weekly setups with me this month, you know, I've shared that my husband and I were having a conversation last month just about, you know, people go to the beach and they find that to be a really relaxing place. And I was telling him that I really feel like there's something to that with like the five senses and like the seven types of rest like kicking in together, right? Because like you're sitting there, like usually when you're at the beach, like you're on vacation, so you're getting to kind of like relax and like lay back a little bit. You're getting a lot of sensory rest because instead of like the hustle and bustle of like home and work, or home and family, or whatever the situation is, right? You're getting to like hear the breeze and hear the waves and hear like seagulls and just like chatter. Like you're getting such a switch up of things, right? And so because of that switch up, you're getting all of these different like engagement with your senses, and that's really helping you type in, like dial into the different types of rest. Because if we look, like creative rest is like a great example, right? Like creative rest isn't not being creative, it's being creative in different ways, right? So doing something fun like doodling or reading or crafting. Like if you're like me, you know, my most of my creative energy goes towards like problem solving at work, Monday through Friday. And so anytime I get to be creative, not doing problem solving, that is like creative rest. So it's kind of the same thing with like if you go to the beach or if you go to the mountains or whatever your tranquil sort of place is. I think a lot of that has to do with the way that you engage with the environment around you and use those five senses. So we did have a fireside chat with Gretchen and Mayha earlier this month. If you missed it, feel free to snag that picture of that link real quick, or I believe it's at the same link as all of the recordings and stuff on YouTube, which we'll share at the end. So if you want to go back and listen to that, you can. But they have a great chat about the five senses. And there's a great little quiz on Gretchen's site where you can figure out what your most neglected sense might be. And mine is seeing. So knowing that, I've been trying to like pause and like take time, even just at work, to like take 5 minutes as I'm getting my coffee and just gaze out the window. I'm very fortunate to work in a place where we're pretty close to like some woodland areas, and there's almost always like some kind of little wildlife or critters out there. And just taking like 5 minutes to just stop and look at something other than my computer screen for a few minutes and engage with that has been really like calming and grounding and like helping me to find those moments of tranquility throughout my day. So whatever that looks like for you is what is best. So if any of this resonates with you, awesome. I'm super glad. I'm super happy. If it doesn't, if something totally different resonates with you, I'm super here for that too. Definitely share with us in the chat what this has been sort of bringing up for you this month with the theme. And speaking of our theme, we will now dive into our Tranquility Pond activity. So again, this is going to be not an existing page on the journal. You're going to want to flip to a blank notes page or use like the scratch pad for the week, your thoughts journal if you have that, or you can use like sticky notes, a blank piece of paper, whatever works best for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to sketch a pond. And in the pond, there are going to be some water lilies and lily pads. And this pond is going to represent your mind and mental space. And then in each of the lilies, we'd like you to write something that brings you tranquility or helps garner a sense of calm. So here is my little pond over here on the right. And I have the main prompt there at the very top of the screen. But for me, so my little tranquil mind pond there, right? The water lilies are the things that bring me tranquility or garner a sense of calm. So I have water. That means actually drinking my water, but it also just means like being around water in general, like being by the ocean or being by a running river. I actually get like a lot of satisfaction from just like being by like a running creek. Like it really helps to calm me and center me for whatever reason. Affirmations are really great for me. Mint, the smell of mint, the taste of the mint. The same thing with lavender for me, the smell, the taste. Love a lavender latte. Having no plans, that instantly helps to clear my mind and make me at peace. Meditation, talking it out if I'm having racing, running thoughts. Deep breaths, nature sounds, kitty snuggles, of course. Journaling, that's a great way for me, especially when I'm really just feeling like frantic. That's a great way for me to calm and center. Sunshine, music, grounding, slow mornings, rest, and of course, love of all kinds. So I've got a couple different things here on the screen to hopefully inspire some lilies and lily pads for you. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to kind of draw out your pond and make your lily pads, and then we'll move into our next activities. Definitely share with us in the chat what you're putting down, what you're deciding to do with this. And then, yeah, we'll come back together in just a little bit. Okay, if you're not done with your pond, that is okay. There may be other moments in the social tonight where you can come back to it, or of course, you can always continue to work on this even after our time together today is done. But I wanted to share just a few things from the chat here. So Cassie had shared slow mornings, reflecting on their growth, cuddles with their daughter, hugs, reading, meditation, journaling in the gym. Sarah shared listening to the birdies chat outside in the morning. Nathania said dance, redwoods, hugs, soft fabric, nature sounds, brewing quality tea intentionally. Love that. And also slow mornings. And then Jordan said, sitting out in the sun, being near a body of water, music, being around nature, cuddles with their husband, hugs from their husband, and gardening. Angie said, night noises in the summer. Love that. Meg said, cat cuddles, music, puddles, soaking up the sun. They are solar powered. I could not agree more, Meg. Absolutely. I'm the same way. And then Felicia said, browsing in the aisles of a bookstore. So lots of different ways to think about tranquility here. And I love that. Like, this is one of the best things about like the Sonder Social is you get to see so many different like viewpoints and different ideas and things. So thank you all so much for sharing. We are now going to flip over to page 14 in our journals and get started with these tranquility journal prompts. Now, if you are a regular daily ritual listener person, I believe it was like yesterday or the day before, Meha just did like a daily ritual on one of these prompts, and that is okay. I'm going to give you another thing you can maybe think about diving into with it. So do not fret if that is you. So our first journaling prompt here, first, I actually want to read the top of the page. It says, in a society that praises busyness, it's so easy to get caught up in never-ending to-do list. Take a deep breath. Let's just do it together, right? So inhale and exhale. All right, get cozy. Hopefully you're cozy, and reflect on the prompts below to regain a sense of calm. So first prompt, if you imagined your worried thoughts as a monster, what would the monster look like? How would you defeat the monster? So for me, my monster is an angry tornado monster, and you can see him there on the screen. And what I would do to defeat the monster is rest in a safe place until the monster wasn't so loud. And then I would go back out to face it, rested and renewed with the help of the sun. I'd shine a light on the monster and discover it had transformed into a cool breeze. And that is because for me, when I get those worried thoughts, especially when they start like really like running and spiraling and going, most often it's because I haven't gotten enough rest. And so this is where, if you are somebody that already did the daily ritual, I would, one, say if you didn't get a chance to fully sketch out your monster, take time to do that now. And then two, you could also think about, right, like we've talked about how to defeat the monster, but I would also stop and ask yourself, is there anything that fuels your monster, right? Like maybe it's like me and your monster is fueled when you don't get enough rest. And so maybe that's a big part of it. Or maybe your monster is maybe somebody that you have like not the best relationship with, that's like bringing some negativity into your life, right? And so maybe think if there's any ways that you can stop that fuel to the monster, right? Like try to cut off its fuel supply so that maybe we don't have to defeat them as much in the first place. So that's my little reframing. And then I have this slide here for you. Like if you're like me, it took me a minute to kind of like think about what kind of monster I would want to draw. So I tried to find something that might spark some inspiration for you without being too scary. So I'll hop over to this slide. And then our second prompt on this page is write about 3 or more things that let you know it's time to rest your mind and body. And I think that the reason that that's the second prompt here is that for so many of us, rest is a huge component in those worrying thoughts and things. So for me, when I start to struggle with my easy daily habits, right, like the things that I usually get every single day, that's a sure sign that my physical energy bank is low. When I start to feel physically or emotionally stressed, which looks like being overreactive, getting a tight chest, upset stomach, sour mood, I'll be suddenly exhausted or feeling really overwhelmed, then it's time for mental and sensory rest for me. And then when I get stuck in the problem solving cycle for things that haven't even happened yet, it is past time for Bailey to go to sleep. So those are mine. I'll give you several minutes to sit with this and sit with both of these prompts, and I'll hop back to like the monster inspiration page for you as well. But definitely let us know if you're comfortable in the chat sharing like what your monster looks like, how you decided to draw it, how you decided to defeat the monster, and then let us know those 3 or more things that let you know it's time to rest your mind to body. So I will give you several minutes to work on this. Definitely share again in the chat if you're comfortable, and then we'll move on to our last activity together. Don't worry, we're not done yet. I just wanted to take a second to check in. So as you're like fleshing out your monster, right? Like visualizing it, thinking about what kind of it makes you feel and what those attributes might look like, right? Like, don't forget to then ask yourself how you would defeat the monster. So, Stephanie said that their monster is spiky and purple and shoots lightning bolts of worrisome thoughts at them. And to defeat them, they're learning to just confront them head on and throw those bolts right back at him. And Meha said in the daily ritual that something all monsters have in common is that the more we try to hide from them, the scarier they get. So I love that about just like learning to confront that monster head on, right? And then I also wanted to call out Tina shared that they observed that many of the things they use to defeat their monsters are the same as the things they put on their lily pads back in the first exercise. So if you're struggling to think about how to defeat your monster, maybe flip back to that first activity and see if that sparks up anything for you. So again, still giving you time to work through this. Just wanted to check in. And then when you are done with your monster prompt, definitely feel free to move on to the next prompt and let us know what's coming up for you there as well. Okay, popping back in to check in again, because I'm seeing that some of you are having trouble thinking about how to defeat that monster, right? And first of all, I just want you to know that that's okay. If you're not sure how to defeat the monster yet, continue to think about it, right? It's okay if you don't have an immediate answer right now. But I thought I would just pop on and maybe get just a little more vulnerable with you all and share. So my angry tornado monster is very much my like anxious thought monsters, but one of the root causes of that like worrying thoughts for me comes from my anxiety, which stems from a lot of my experiences as a kid. And so a lot of my like need to control and need to like solve everything and try to fix all the problems is actually coming from like a little girl that's like scared, right? Like she feels like if I can't control everything, if I can't fix the problem, then I won't be safe. And so if that resonates with you in some way, think about how to make that little squirrel feel safe or that little you feel safe, right? And maybe you will find a way to defeat your monster. And it could be something totally different. It doesn't have to be something that happened in your childhood. Like we all go through like really tough experiences every day. Like life is amazing and it's beautiful and it is just everything, but it comes with its own set of challenges. And so even if like this is something that like you started to develop in the last couple of years, maybe just sit with that and think like, is there something fueling this monster? Is this coming from somewhere? Because then you might figure out like its hidden weakness, right? Like the way to defeat it. So again, just checking in to say that. Be gentle with yourselves. It's okay if you don't have it all figured out just yet. Okay, now I am checking in because we're going to get ready to move on to our next prompt. And well, actually, let me pause. I want to stay on this page for just another minute, not too much longer, but just another minute. And if you're still working out the monster thing, that's okay. But I kind of want you to just put a pin in it for just a moment. And if you haven't flipped down to that bottom section of the page, do that now. Because again, it's okay if you don't have it all figured out with the monster, but I do think there's a connection to these two prompts. And if I think if we think about the cues our body and mind is giving us for when it needs rest, we might find some fuel cutoffs for our monster. Okay, so just a few more minutes here, and then we're gonna hop to the next activity, which is super duper fun and easy. So we're almost done with the heavy stuff. Okay, deep breath, right? Like we took a deep breath to start this page. So I think it's good if we take a deep breath in to finish this page. So all together, inhale and exhale. Okay. If you're still working on this, again, that's okay. Come back to it when we're finished. Continue to work on it as we move into the next section. But like I said, like I promised, our next activity is super fun. Okay, it's on page 19 and it is a list of my favorites. So just all of your favorite things in these little prompts and categories. This is a great way to sort of like have a little moment of play with yourself, right? Like when you're a kid, people ask you all these questions. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite this? What do you like to do? And then the older you get, they stop asking that. And that's just rude. It's just rude because it's fun to ask ourselves these questions and it kind of lets us relearn things we already know about ourselves, right? And that can sometimes lead to like moments of tranquility because play is so important in our lives, even as adults, even though it looks different now, right? So for me, my favorite summer activity is definitely time in the pool. My favorite accessory are earrings. My favorite person to laugh with is my husband, Cameron. My favorite piece of summer clothing are bike shorts. I've been wearing tons of them this year. My favorite self-care activity right now is getting my nails done. My favorite time of day is golden hour. And my favorite series is Harry Potter. I love to indulge in local eats, like local restaurants and things like that. My favorite inspirational person is Brene Brown. And as far as beach or mountains, for me, it's got to be the mountains. I do love the beach. I do. I love a good beach, but something about the mountains just like really centers me, especially if there's like a creek or something like we talked about earlier. And then my favorite flavor of ice cream is banana. So I'm a huge fan of like Ben and Jerry's Chunky Monkey. And then a person who makes me feel at ease is my therapist. So definitely take some time to have fun with this activity. Share in the chat with us what your favorites are. I'll put on a few more minutes of song for you to think about this because some of these took me a minute to like really think about and answer. And then we'll close out our time together. Okay, if you can believe it, the hour has gone by super fast, I know. And it's time for us to close out our time together. I just want to say again, like, thank you to all of you for like digging in deep tonight, sharing in the chat, being open and vulnerable, and then also for all of your sharing on this fun page. It's so fun to get to know each other like this. I feel like if you have any kind of like family time coming up in the future or like time with friends or anything, maybe take this page and like just ask your friends these questions, ask your family these questions, right? It's like a fun little icebreaker that you can use even with people that you know, just because when was the last time you asked these things, right? So again, thank you all for being here with us tonight. Please, if you feel comfortable, share your pages in Sonder Club. I would love to see all of your worry monsters and see what those looked like and how those turned out if you're comfortable sharing. As always, we are still doing our refer a friend program. If you refer somebody to Silk and Sonder, you'll get $10 off, they'll get $10 off, and then you could do these fun socials together. And please do share your feedback. Again, I say this every time, but it does get looked at. It is considered. Sonder Socials looked very, very different just a year or so ago, and it's all based on your feedback. So definitely share with us if you want different times, if you want different socials, if there's anything we can do to make this experience more enjoyable or better, let us know. Maya's going to be sharing that YouTube link in the chat. Be sure that you save that. It is not searchable. You will want to keep it and bookmark it. This social will be up in a few days, recorded up there, as are all of our socials. So if you ever miss one, can't make it to one, want to go back to one, you can do that through that YouTube link. And then finally, playlists. So the one on the left is the one that we're listening to tonight. Feel free to find that on Spotify, follow it, pick it apart, make your own playlist, do whatever you like with it. Eventually, I do cycle out my playlist, so I will like delete this one. But when I do, I will take all of the songs that are in it and I will dump it into my Sonder Social master list. So you're also welcome to find that list and use it to make your own list or follow it or do whatever you like. It was my sincere pleasure to spend all of this time with you this evening. And until next time, be good to each other, and we'll see you in Sonder Club.
Everything come naturally. Oh, loosen the grip of what you need. Home is a state of mind, you'll see. I know you've been searching for better days. So somehow, I hope you hear me say, take it easy. Yeah, make yourself right at home. And never leave me. Yeah, you don't have to view alone. Yeah, oh, no surprise, just up in your eyes. Come right in, take off your disguise.